When I found the ring box empty, I felt a strange silence settle inside me. Not anger. Not yet. Just silence, the kind that hums in your ears, like the world is holding its breath, waiting to see what you'll do next. That ring wasn't just jewelry. It was my mother's wedding ring, a thin gold band with a small, pale diamond that caught light softly, not arrogantly. She wore it every day until the morning she passed. When I inherited it, I promised myself I'd keep it safe, not in a bank locker, not hidden in a drawer, but close. Because it wasn't about money. It was about memory. About her. So when I opened that small wooden box that evening and saw only the imprint of where it used to rest, my heart dropped straight to the floor. Before all this happened, life in our home was steady. Not perfect, but peaceful in the way only quiet routines can be. My husband, Saad, worked at a logistics company, long hours, but predictable. Our son, Adil, had just started college, and our daughter, Miriam, was finishing her last year of school. We lived in a modest house, cream-colored walls, the faint smell of cardamom from the morning tea, the hum of ceiling fans on hot afternoons. And then came Sanaa, Saad's younger sister. She'd been having a rough time, or so everyone said. Her marriage had ended badly, her husband left suddenly, and she was staying at a friend's place when Saad suggested she come live with us for a while. I wasn't against it. She was family. She'd always been kind to the children, polite to me. Just until she gets back on her feet, Saad said one night as we washed dishes together. His tone was gentle, hopeful. I nodded. Of course. She's welcome here. When Sanaa arrived, she brought only 2 suitcases and a tired smile. Her eyes looked heavy, like she hadn't slept properly in weeks. I hugged her. You're home now, I told her. Don't worry about anything. At first, it was fine. She helped me in the kitchen, spent evenings watching dramas with Miriam, and kept mostly to herself. I felt almost guilty for thinking she'd be a burden. She wasn't. But then, small things began to shift so subtly I almost didn't notice. It started with tone. The way she'd comment on the house, "You're lucky, Bobby, Saad really provides well," or "Not everyone gets this kind of comfort after marriage." I'd smile and brush it off, but something in her voice lingered, a thin layer of envy beneath the compliment. Then came the odd disappearances, a pair of earrings I'd left on the dresser, a silk scarf I'd worn once for a dinner party. Each time, I blamed myself. Maybe I misplaced them. Maybe Miriam borrowed them. I told myself not to think too much. But one afternoon, I caught her in my room. It was quiet, Saad was at work, the children at school. I'd come back early from grocery shopping, carrying 2 heavy bags of vegetables, when I noticed our bedroom door slightly ajar. Through the small opening, I saw Sanaa sitting at my dressing table. She was trying on my perfume, the expensive one Saad had given me on our anniversary. Her reflection met mine in the mirror, and for a second, neither of us moved. "Oh, Bobby," she said quickly, smiling too wide. "I was just curious how this one smells. You always wear such nice scents." I forced a smile back. "Of course. You can use it anytime. No need to ask." Her shoulders relaxed, but I noticed how she avoided eye contact as she put the bottle back, not exactly where it had been, but close enough. That night, when I told Saad about it, he laughed softly. "Come on, she's just adjusting. Don't make her feel like a guest. She's been through a lot." And maybe he was right. I wanted to believe he was right. So I ignored the small discomfort that started building, like dust collecting in the corners of a room you keep meaning to clean. The real trouble began 3 weeks later, on a Sunday afternoon. I was in the living room folding laundry when Sanaa walked in wearing one of my chiffon shawls, pale blue with silver embroidery. I froze for a second. I hadn't worn that shawl in months, but it was unmistakably mine. She caught my look. "Oh, Miriam gave me this," she said quickly. "She said you didn't use it anymore." Miriam, when I asked her later, looked confused. "No, Mama. I didn't give her anything." Something shifted inside me that day, not anger yet, but awareness. A quiet, uncomfortable awareness. So I started noticing things, really noticing them. How she'd hover when I opened my jewelry box. How her tone grew softer when Saad was around, but clipped when it was just me. How she'd mention money more often, little jabs about her ex-husband's expensive habits, how he'd never let her live modestly. I still tried to make peace. Family, after all, is complicated. But deep down, a small voice kept whispering, "Be careful." One evening, Miriam came to me quietly. "Mama," she said, "can I tell you something? Please don't get mad." I looked up from the stove. "Of course, sweetheart. What is it?" She hesitated, twisting the hem of her dupatta. "I think I saw Kala in your room yesterday. You and Baba had gone out." She was looking through the drawers. I froze, wooden spoon halfway to the pot. "Are you sure?" She nodded. "I didn't say anything. I thought maybe you asked her to find something." I told her not to worry, that I'd handle it. But that night, sleep refused to come. I lay awake listening to the sound of the ceiling fan, counting every tick of the wall clock, my heart thudding with the uneasy rhythm of suspicion. The next morning, I checked my jewelry box. Everything seemed fine. The ring was still there, resting in its wooden box, the gold catching the faint light from the window. I ran my fingers over it, feeling the cool metal. It felt safe. For now. But safety, I would soon learn, can disappear quietly, not with a bang, but with a whisper. It was only a few nights later that I opened that same box again, and found it empty. The wooden imprint where the ring had been was still visible, a small hollow in the velvet. But the ring itself was gone. Gone. And the only person who had been in that room since yesterday was Sana. For a long moment, I just stood there, staring at that empty box, feeling my throat go dry. There are certain silences that tell you everything. This was one of them. I didn't scream. I didn't run to confront her. Instead, I closed the lid gently, placed the box back exactly where it was, and sat on the edge of the bed. The light from the window hit the wardrobe mirror, and for a second, I saw my own reflection, calm on the outside, trembling underneath. My mother used to say, when you feel anger rising, let it settle before you speak. That's when you see the truth. So, I waited. But the waiting hurt more than shouting ever could. Sana came home late that evening. She'd gone to the market, she said, to get some things. She was humming cheerful, relaxed. Too relaxed. At dinner, she complimented my cooking, asked Miriam about her exams, even offered to help Saad with tea. On any other night, I might have been touched. But now, everything she did looked like a performance, every smile rehearsed, every word too soft. I barely touched my food. Saad noticed. "You're quiet tonight," he said. "Just tired," I murmured, forcing a smile. "Long day." He nodded, accepting it. Sana's eyes flicked toward me for half a second, quick, cautious. She knew something. That night, after everyone slept, I went to her room. It wasn't my proudest moment. But sometimes silence demands answers. Her door was slightly open. The room was dim, just the glow from a streetlight outside. I saw her handbag on the table, half open, a flash of gold glinting near the zipper. I stepped closer, heart pounding. My hand trembled as I lifted the bag. Inside were a few cosmetics, a folded shawl, and a small velvet pouch. I knew that pouch. It used to sit in my jewelry box, holding my mother's ring before I placed it in the wooden case. I didn't even open it. My chest was already tight with confirmation. I quietly put it back where I found it and stepped away. My hands were cold, my breath shallow. Back in my room, I sat again in the dark, not thinking, just feeling. Betrayal doesn't come like thunder. It seeps in, gentle and slow, until you realize the air around you has changed. The next morning, I couldn't look at her the same way. She made breakfast, parathas and tea, humming under her breath like always. When she placed a plate in front of me, I felt my stomach twist. She said, "Bobby, you look pale. Are you okay?" I looked up at her, really looked. The same soft eyes, the same face that used to call me sister. And I heard myself say, "I'm fine. Just didn't sleep well." She smiled, as if nothing in the world was wrong. That smile burned. Over the next few days, I pretended. I acted like nothing had happened. But inside, I was unraveling, torn between anger and grief, justice and family. I couldn't tell Saad yet. He loved his sister fiercely, blindly. And if I accused her without proof, it would break something between us. Still, I had to be sure. So I waited. I watched. And then, on a Wednesday morning, while hanging laundry in the backyard, I saw her through the window, sitting on her bed, holding something small and glinting. I knew that shape. That color of gold. She was turning the ring in her fingers, holding it up to the light, smiling faintly. My knees went weak. I pressed against the wall, tears stinging my eyes. That was my mother's ring, my memory, my promise. And she was admiring it like a trinket. I don't remember walking into her room, just the sound of my own voice, trembling but steady. Sana. She looked up, startled. Bobby, you scared me. I pointed to her hand. Where did you get that? Her face froze. Just for a second, but enough. Then she laughed softly. Oh, this? I found it in your drawer. I thought it was an old piece you didn't use. An old piece? I repeated. That ring belonged to my mother. The silence that followed was sharp as glass. She blinked, then shrugged. Oh, I didn't know. I stared at her. You didn't know? You opened my drawer, took something that wasn't yours, and didn't think to ask. Her smile faltered. You're overreacting, Bobby. I didn't mean any harm. My voice lowered. Then why hide it? She looked away. I wasn't hiding. I just liked it. Something inside me broke then, quietly, the way dry wood snaps. That night, I told Saad. He listened, frowning deeply. You're sure? Yes, I said. I saw it with my own eyes. He sighed, rubbing his forehead. She's going through a lot. Maybe she just... Saad, I interrupted gently. Please, don't make excuses. He fell silent. I could see the conflict in his face, loyalty battling reason. Finally, he nodded slowly. I'll talk to her. But I stopped him. No, not yet. Let me handle it. Because this wasn't just about a ring. It was about respect. About trust. The next morning, I waited until she came to the kitchen. She smiled nervously. Tea, Bobby? I said, no, thank you. But we need to talk. She froze, teacup halfway to her lips. I want you to give me back my mother's ring. She blinked, feigning confusion. Your ring? But I already returned it. Don't lie, Sana. My voice was calm, steady, too calm, maybe. You took it. I know it. And if you care even a little about this family, you'll put it back. Her face changed then, the softness replaced by something sharp, defensive. You're making me sound like a thief, she said. After everything I've been through, you think I'd steal from you? My eyes met hers. I don't think it. I know it. Her jaw tightened. Fine, she muttered. If it means that much to you, I'll give it back. She left the room, and minutes later returned with the ring in her palm. She placed it on the table, the metal glinting between us like a wound. There, she said. Happy now? I didn't speak. I just picked it up, held it tight in my fist, and walked away. That should have been the end of it. But it wasn't. Because sometimes, when you take something back, the real damage stays, invisible, heavy, spreading quietly between walls and hearts. And from that day forward, the air in our house was never the same again. Days passed, but peace didn't return. Even though the ring was back in its box, it no longer felt like mine. Every time I opened that drawer, I saw not gold, but betrayal. Sana acted as if nothing had happened. She still laughed at dinner, still chatted with Saad about TV shows, still scrolled her phone on the sofa like any ordinary evening. But between us, the silence had grown roots. Every time her voice filled the room, I felt my stomach tighten. Every time Saad defended her, even over something small, a bitterness stirred inside me. I hated that she could still smile so easily. I hated that I couldn't. One night, I overheard something that changed everything. It was late, maybe past midnight. I had come to the kitchen for a glass of water when I heard whispers from the living room. Sana's voice. And Saad's. I paused behind the doorway, heart pounding. Bobby thinks I stole her ring, she was saying, her voice trembling, half sob, half accusation. I can't believe she'd say that about me. Saad sighed. She didn't mean it like that. She did. Sana snapped. You weren't there, bye. The way she looked at me, the words she used, she made me feel small, like I don't belong here. Saad's voice softened. You do belong here. You're my sister. I could almost see her, pretending to wipe tears, leaning in for sympathy. And then she said something that turned my blood cold. Maybe she's just jealous. You always take my side. That one sentence pierced through me like glass. Jealous? Of what? I'd given her my time, my patience, my home. I'd welcomed her like my own sister. And now she was turning my husband against me, weaving lies while smiling at my face every morning. I stepped back quietly, my heart pounding against my ribs. That night, I didn't sleep. The next morning, I could barely look at Saad. He acted normal, but there was a heaviness in his tone, as if the warmth between us had dimmed, just a little. Sanaa had planted the seed. And it was growing. I knew I had to act before it spread deeper. The next evening, while Saad was at work, I sat down with Mariam, my daughter, now 16. She had seen the tension, even if we tried to hide it. She asked quietly, Mama, are you and Fofo fighting? I smiled sadly. No, Beta. Sometimes people just forget how to be kind. She hesitated. I saw her wearing your ring the other day. I thought maybe you gave it to her. That was the moment I realized kids see more than we think. I held her hand and said, never let anyone make you feel wrong for telling the truth, even if they smile while lying. Her eyes widened, but she nodded silently. That night, I made a decision. No more whispers. No more pretending. If Sanaa could twist words in the dark, I would bring the truth into the light. So the next evening, when Saad came home, I asked both of them to sit down. Sanaa looked uneasy. What's this about? I placed the ring on the table. The gold caught the light, shining, almost mocking. This, I said quietly. Let's end the lies tonight. Saad frowned. Again with the ring? Yes, I said. Because it's not just a ring anymore. It's about trust. I turned to Sanaa. You told Saad I accused you unfairly. That I humiliated you. Do you still believe that? She blinked, caught off guard. I just told him how I felt. And you told him I was jealous. Her face paled. I didn't mean. Don't lie, I cut in sharply. I heard every word. The air went still. Saad looked between us, confused. What's going on? I met his gaze. Ask her where she got the ring from. Ask her why she hid it. Sanaa's voice shook. I already told you, I found it. No, I said, stepping closer. You took it. You lied. And when I confronted you, you played the victim. Tears welled up in her eyes, but this time, they didn't look real. Saad's expression darkened. Sanaa, is that true? She stammered, I just liked it I thought. You thought you could take whatever you liked? His voice rose sharp. Do you realize what you've done? She broke down, covering her face. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. The sound of her crying filled the room, but this time it didn't move me. Because I had cried too, in silence, for days. Saad turned to me, guilt in his eyes. I should have listened. I shook my head. You wanted to see the good in her. That's not wrong. But now you see the truth. He nodded slowly, pain clouding his face. I'll send her to Amy's for a while. We all need space. Sanaa looked up, shocked. Bye, no. Please. But his decision was final. That night, after she left, the house felt quieter. Not peaceful, just quieter. I sat on the bed, holding the ring in my palm. It felt heavier now, as if it carried the weight of everything that had been lost: trust, warmth, innocence. Saad sat beside me and said softly, I'm sorry for doubting you. I smiled faintly. Sometimes, truth has to break something before it can heal. He nodded, squeezing my hand. For the first time in weeks, I slept without tears. But the next morning, as I placed the ring back in its box, I caught my reflection again, the same woman from that first day, but older somehow. Wiser. Quieter. And maybe a little lonelier. Because when betrayal comes from someone you called family, forgiveness doesn't grow easily. Still, I promised myself one thing, that I would never let pain make me cruel. The ring stayed where it belonged. And I finally let go of the anger that didn't. Sometimes, the people we protect are the ones who test our peace the most. But strength isn't in shouting or revenge, it's in standing firm, with grace, in truth. A month passed before I heard from Sanaa again. The house had settled into a strange calm, the kind that comes after a storm. No shouting, no slammed doors, no tension in the air. Just quiet. Saad spoke little about her, and I didn't ask. We both needed time, not to forget, but to breathe. Still, there were moments when I caught him staring at his phone, thumb hovering over her contact. Family ties don't break easily, not even when they're bruised. One Sunday morning, as I was watering the plants, my phone buzzed. A message from Sana. "Bobby, can I come over? Just for a few minutes." My chest tightened. Part of me wanted to say no, to protect the peace I'd built, the fragile stillness I'd learned to live in. But another part, quieter yet persistent, whispered, "Forgiveness is not forgetting, it's releasing." I texted back, "Come." But only for a few minutes. She arrived in the afternoon. The same face, the same eyes, but something had changed. Her usual brightness was gone. She looked tired, older somehow. She held a small velvet pouch in her hands. When she entered, she didn't sit right away. She just stood near the doorway, twisting the pouch nervously. "I wanted to say sorry," she began, voice trembling. "Truly sorry. I've been thinking about what I did and what I said." I stayed quiet, letting her speak. She went on, "When I moved in, I felt invisible. I just lost my job, my friends had stopped calling, and I felt like a burden. When I saw that ring, I don't know, it reminded me of being part of something. Something beautiful." Her words hung in the air, heavy and soft at once. "I didn't steal it because of its worth," she said, looking down. "I took it because I wanted to feel like I mattered. Like I belonged somewhere." For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then she reached into the pouch and pulled out a folded note. "I wrote this the night I left. I didn't have the courage to give it to you." She placed it on the table. Her hands were shaking. I unfolded the note. Her handwriting was uneven, tear-stained. "Dear Bobby, you were kinder to me than I ever deserved. When you let me stay, I thought I'd found home again. But my jealousy and insecurity made me see you as a rival instead of family. I lied. I hurt you. And I hurt by too. The truth is, that ring was never about gold, it was about your strength. Every time you wore it, I saw how loved you were, how centered. And I wanted that for myself. I can't take back what I did. But I promise I'll never betray that kind of love again." By the time I finished reading, my eyes were wet. I looked at her, and for the first time since it all began, I saw not a thief, but a broken young woman trying to make amends. I sighed softly. "You hurt me, Sana. Deeply. But I believe you're telling the truth now." She nodded, her eyes brimming with tears. "I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted to face what I ran from." I paused, then said quietly, "Forgiveness isn't a gift for you. It's peace for me." Her lips trembled. "Then I hope you find it." I smiled faintly. "I already have." We talked a while longer, not about the ring, but about life. Her new job, her plans to move to another city, her hopes to start fresh. Before she left, she hesitated at the door. "Bobby?" "Yes. Thank you for not giving up on family. Even when family failed you." I looked at her and said, "Family isn't perfect. It's a test of who we become when love is tested." She smiled weakly, then left. After she was gone, I stood by the window, watching her walk away. The wind carried the faint scent of jasmine from the garden, my mother's favorite flower. I thought about that ring, how it had survived decades, moving through generations, carrying both love and pain. And I realized something. It wasn't the gold that made it valuable. It was the stories it had witnessed. The laughter, the grief, the betrayals, all woven into its shine. Later that evening, Saad came home. He looked surprised when I told him she had visited. "She came? What did she say?" "She apologized," I said softly. And this time, I believed her. He nodded, a quiet relief in his eyes. "Maybe it's time we all start healing." I smiled. "One step at a time." He reached out, gently took my hand, and said, "You always find a way to make peace, even when I can't." I looked at him, tears threatening again. That's what women like us do. We carry peace, even when it hurts. That night, I placed the ring back into its box one last time. But instead of locking it away, I left it open on the dresser, in the soft glow of the lamp. Because I wasn't afraid anymore. The past had already taken what it could, and what remained was mine. I sometimes think about that chapter, about how easily love can tangle itself in misunderstanding. It taught me something I'll never forget. Betrayal doesn't always come from hatred. Sometimes it comes from emptiness, from someone else's need to feel seen, valued, loved. That doesn't excuse the pain, but it helps you understand where it came from. Sana and I still talk, occasionally. Our bond isn't what it once was, it's softer now, humbler, stripped of illusions. And that's okay, because not every story needs to go back to what it was. Some just need to end with grace. Every time I wear my mother's ring now, I remember that night not as a story of theft, but as a reminder that love, when tested, either breaks or purifies. Mine, thankfully, survived. And so, I learned that forgiveness isn't weakness, it's choosing peace when anger feels easier. But tell me, if you were in my place, would you have forgiven her? Let me know in the comments below your stories, your lessons, your hearts. And remember, sometimes, healing begins the moment we stop proving we were right and start choosing to be free.